What's going on, everyone? Platinum Beast coming at you with yet another video. Today we are going to be talking about space exploration and what that might mean for Platinum. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so today I want to talk to you about a topic that I've kind of been researching in regards to Platinum. Now, we all know about space exploration, and there's even been launches in recent times involving space exploration. So I want to talk about how this metal might sort of come in handy when it has to do with exploring space. So we all know that platinum is used in cars and machines that give off emissions, and it's used in the catalytic converters and it's used as a catalyst to help filter those emissions that those machines give off. The same goes for spaceships that are sent to space. They give off tons of emissions, they burn tons of fuel, and overall they require some type of filtering mechanism, at least in Western countries where that type of stuff is regulated. So I've talked about in previous videos how I think that it'll be a long time before semi trucks and 18-wheelers and things like that use a lot of fuel over a long distance. It will be quite a while, in my opinion, before that goes fully electric. Now, I want to talk about space exploration in this video because not only do like rocket ships and vehicles that are meant to take either men or satellites and things like that to space use a ton of fuel. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of fuel, and a lot of that has to do with how fast they have to go. If you look at this average speed of a rocket, if it were a car on the ground, it would go around the world like within a very short amount of time. So it uses lots of fuel, but it uses fuel that burns and gives off emissions. So you're going to need platinum to filter those emissions, even in space, which I think it would take an eternity to fill space with pollution, but you're going to have the government regulating that kind of thing. And I also want to talk about platinum's other uses. So we all know that it's a very dense metal. If you've ever held an ounce of platinum, it's kind of hard to tell with a gram how dense it is because this is so small. But if you hold like an ounce or maybe like a half ounce or something, you're going to notice that it's very, very dense metal. And so because of that, it has many different uses when you need something very sturdy, very hard, and something that's not very easily, changed, so to speak. So platinum could be used because when spaceships leave Earth and go through the atmosphere, that's one of the most difficult parts to get through. And that's where a lot of problems have happened in the past is spaceships have, broken apart or, melted or whatever trying to leave the atmosphere. Because it's very difficult to leave the atmosphere because it just gets very, I don't know the exact reason why, but it gets very difficult to leave. And so having platinum being used in certain components within rocket ships might help keep things together, so to speak. It could also be used and become useful in tools used in space, whether they're on the moon, whether they're on other planets, whether they're just, on the space station. platinum is a very unique metal, and it has a very unique makeup, which gives it its sturdiness, which is a lot of times needed for certain aspects in space, because you don't want things breaking in space, that's for sure. Because, if something breaks down here on Earth, chances are you'll be all right. You might have to replace whatever you broke, but you're pretty safe down here. Up there, you want absolutely nothing to go wrong. And so, yeah, platinum could have a lot of potential to be used in space. And I think as far as space exploration goes, in the past, we've explored a lot. In the recent past, we've cut back our space exploration. But I get the feeling that that's going to, and it already kind of has to some extent, been expanded upon in regards to how much money we're putting into space exploration and how much time we're spending in space. I think that's only going to increase as time goes on, and because of that, I believe personally that they're going to need this metal to use in space because of its makeup. Now, something else I want to talk about in this video is fuel cell technology. So, if you haven't heard of fuel cell technology is a rather recent technology that's been developed where they are creating fuel out of basically hydrogen. It's basically a hydrogen-based fuel. And so it gives off very little to no emissions. And it has the ability almost to go the same distance as like a regular fossil fuel vehicle. And that could potentially, grow as time goes on. The adaptation of that science and field. A lot of people think that electric cars and using electricity as fuel is going to make it so that fuel cell technology will not be needed. And I disagree with that quite a bit. The main reason is because, again, using fuel cells to fuel a vehicle of any kind really is just a lot quicker process, and it's a lot more efficient process because the fuel cells will recharge. Basically how it works is when you add the hydrogen fuel to a vehicle in the kind of prototype cars they have out there now, when you add hydrogen fuel cells to a vehicle, it basically is an electric car. It's just the hydrogen fuel cells will charge the battery and make it so that you don't need to sit there and just get electricity from somewhere else. You basically have your own kind of power plant within a vehicle, only it has very few moving parts, and it's very similar to an electric car in the regards to how the engine is built and how it runs and everything like that. I think it's a technology that should not be just kind of forgotten about and just overlooked because electricity is going to one day fully get rid of it. Because what you need to think about with electricity is, where does the electricity come from? Electricity isn't a fuel in and of itself. Something fueled the power plant that the electricity came from, and then they delivered the electricity to you. Electricity has never just, it's not a really naturally occurring thing. I mean, it kind of is, but it always comes from another source. There's wind power plants, there's solar, they get it from the sun, the energy, and that charges an electric battery, as well as water-based power plants and coal-based power plants, which was the dirty one, which is going away pretty rapidly. But as far as fuel cells have been proven, again, to be the cleanest kind of form. Obviously, solar power is going to be, I guess, your most cleanest, but we haven't figured out a way to really kind of absorb the power of the sun at such a rate that we could just, the same with wind and, water and things like that. There's environmental changes that can cause those things to not be as impactful, but the hydrogen fuel can be created, or, we can create more of that fuel to power the power plant and create more energy overall. And platinum has a strong role in being a fuel cell catalyst, which means that they use it to create the fuel cells needed to power the whatever you're trying to power with the fuel cells and the electricity. It's like a combination of fuel and electricity. It's just a cleaner fuel used to power the electricity, if you get what I'm saying. Also, by cutting out the middleman of, you got the power plant and you have the kind of place where the power is being delivered to, you just put it all in one kind of thing. So this could, again, prove to be very useful for space exploration, because they're going to need an ability to develop electricity in space, and they don't have rivers, and they don't have wind, and the sun is even further away, so they don't get like a whole lot of sunlight, so they don't get all these natural things that we have on Earth to power their equipment. They do use, solar panels and stuff like that to charge up when, like, the Earth is rotating or whatever. But in its stage right now, we're just talking about, like, a space station, or maybe like one rocket that has landed on the moon or whatever, or like a rover on Mars. That's easy to charge up, that one little thing. But if we start advancing the exploration in space, we're going to need a whole lot more than we have now. So these are just some kind of like topics and things I wanted to talk about in regards to space exploration, as well as fuel cell technology. I really think it's a technology that's going to take off. I don't know exactly what fields will be most impacted overall. I think space exploration is one that will for sure be benefited by fuel cell technology, and platinum is going to be a metal that benefits greatly by fuel cell technology as well. So, yeah, guys, those are my thoughts for today on fuel cell technology, as well as space exploration and how it might impact platinum going forward in the future. I hope you enjoyed my video and me talking about this topic. And until next time, guys, we will see ya.